white guilt. Go ahead and seep it on into your bones. No, I'm just playing. Can you imagine? That would be the worst. So glad that you're here with me again, my friends. Listen, simply put, let me tell you how I feel about white guilt. And though I can't speak for all black people because, say it with me, we are not monolithic, I can speak for many in my circle and can safely say to you respectfully, ain't nobody got time for no white guilt right now. For real though. I've heard it before that there's a perception when black people talk about their history that we are using it as a tool to cultivate white guilt or using it to manipulate white people to feel a certain way. Yo, do not believe the hype. Okay, so here's a true story. So I worked at a mostly all-white church at one point, and I used to take some of my high school kids on a yearly trip to Memphis to the Black History Museum. A few days before the trip, one of my kids' parents stopped me in the middle of the street, mind you, and said, I don't feel comfortable with my kid going on the trip. Immediately, I was like, maybe she was concerned that her kid wouldn't be safe. She then went on to tell me, I don't need you taking my kid anywhere to shove more of your white guilt and manipulation down her throat. That, my friend, calls for a sip of coffee. Because that's a true story, and that really happened. It occurred to me right then that my attempt to educate people I cared about our country's oftentimes jacked up history was being considered an attempt by me and all my beautiful blackness to unleash white guilt upon the nations. So let me just say this, and I really do hope that you hear me from my heart. My hope and prayer is that you take any semblance of white guilt that you may have and trade that ish in for bravery. You hear me? I'll take your bravery over your white guilt any day of the week. Guilt has never served anyone well, and especially right now, we need you. And when I say we, I mean the world. Look, of course, the more you learn and the more you grow, there may be some guilt attached to that. That's expected, but go on ahead and breathe it on in, breathe all that white guilt in, and then breathe it on out. Look, it's like you being in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. A playoff basketball game, and you're missing a shot to tie the game with 5 minutes left on the clock. Sure, take a minute, take it all in that you missed the shot. I mean, for a second, cry for all I care. I really don't care. But I'm going to need you to pull it back together and get back in the game because we still got time to do some work. Okay, for my theater friends that all you heard in that analogy was sports, ball, sports, game. It's like you're about to close out Act 1 in Rent, but you went ahead and forgot a whole verse in La Vie Boheme. Did you really mess up? You did, and how dare you? But yo, the show must go on. We got a whole second act to do. So I'm gonna need you to stop feeling guilty about that moment and find the bravery to get back out here and do the darn thing. Now, let's talk about bravery for a minute. And I need you to hear me on this. Your specific individual style of bravery is exactly the kind of bravery that we need right now. And stop, before any of y'all try to jump into my comments or my DMs talking about how being an ally isn't as brave or simply standing up for what's right isn't brave compared to what you as black people have to go through every day. First of all, you'd be correct. That's not what I'm talking about right now. Black folks ain't out here trying to compare bravery stories. We just want your bravery story to be created. So check it. What you might not understand is that black folks, we get it. We know that when you decide to stand up for people of color, that it is going to cost you something. We realize that. And you better believe that we are praying for you, that you have the strength to make it through. For some of you, you become outcast in your own church community because you decide that you can no longer whisper Black Lives Matter under your breath. And though it is going to cost you something, you've decided now that you need to scream it from your heart. Look, when I'm scrolling through a post and see an advocate taking up a cause against someone who is obviously set in their ways, but you are still choosing to dialogue with love and facts, when you could have unfriended them years ago, I know that cost you something. Man, look, when you go home for Thanksgiving, knowing that you are about to walk into a war zone of racisty landmines, but you choose to go anyway, That's brave. That's brave for you. Because as black folks, we just say, oh, I'm eating turkey being black. When you choose to march next to your black brothers and sisters, choosing to get into good trouble, knowing that you are putting your safety on the line. Of course, your experience is not the same as mine, but that is your specific individual brand of bravery. And that, my friend, is exactly the kind of brave that we need right now. Look, I don't need your white guilt, and neither do you. So how about you continue to find new ways to be brave instead? I love you, friends. Now let's go change the world, shall we?